this isn't my first injury. I iced my other one and I'm fine.
They might still even have the devices from before. I have it from my last surgery.
In those situations, I'm like, hear me out.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you a little bit of this, but also, like, let's try a little bit of this stuff over here. Because I think that you'll like it. Been several different places, and you always do this. Like, let's try something different and see if it works.
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different result.
Yeah,
That's
like,
insanity.
No,
it's
don't
insanity.
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it again.
Hey guys, welcome to Towel Talk, podcast number 2, I think is today. We're going to dive into the topic of ice and heat, the tried and true debate amongst PTs, athletic trainers, personal trainers, doctors, the whole recovery rehab world in general.
Yep. So I actually was just talking to someone about this today because they were asking if they could do ice on their knee after the session. It was really sore. They'd done a lot today, a lot of walking around. And what I've been telling people now is just, I kind of give them the give or take here. If you're going to be icing, then it can delay healing. But also, if you feel like it is just going to be helpful for me to put some ice on there for 15 minutes or something like that, and it's really bothering you and it's hurting or it's really sore, it's achy, you need to be able to do something later on today and it's getting in the way of you being able to do it, it's probably not going to kill you to ice it a little bit. But I do like to have that conversation of, we really don't want to be overutilizing this stuff. You want to make sure that you're aware and understand if you're going to just be icing all the time,
there's a potential detriment.
You know, we may be increasing the amount of time it takes for things to heal. So that's kind of been my way of addressing it with folks. I know some therapists have a different approach with it. Some therapists are just, no, I'm going to ice because it's going to stop inflammation.
Right.
And
yes, but do we want to all the time? Right.
And so that's kind of where I have my...
Yeah. And I mean, it's a hard conversation, even though the research is very clear, starting to go in one direction of, hey, icing delays healing, shouldn't necessarily be used outside of that acute phase. And even in the acute phase, it should only be temporary.
Yeah.
Early mobility is more important than anything else after any kind of injury like that.
Yeah.
So looking at ice as an augment, like you mentioned, is kind of what should be talked about. But the old recommendations were rice, rest, ice, elevate, that was the routine that everyone got, no matter what, for any injury. Elevated above the heart, ice it, 10 minutes on, 15 minutes off kind of thing. So it's been hard to break that kind of mindset with people, especially from like the coaching, training side of things. Like athletic trainers, you go to any athletic training room, almost the first thing they do with everyone, sign in, grab your bag of ice. Slap it on. That's kind of the first thing that they do with everyone. And it's going to take a lot to change that mindset.
Yeah.
For sure. Sure.
I love the stories when you're like in a clinical setting or in an area where you got multiple clinicians and you hear the ice conversation go on with a patient and a therapist, or a patient and a trainer, and the conversation sometimes goes a little something like this. Do you want ice? I'm not sure. Should I ice? We can. Do you like to use the ice? Yeah, sometimes. Okay, well then that's ice.
That's ice.
And it's just like,
there's no actual decision
what just
making.
Happened? Right? What were y'all just talking about? Like, well, why did this conversation happen?
Right? Are we offering lemons with their tea? Like, what's
Yeah,
going
and
on?
it's
What is
just like,
the?
are we? You're not required to have ice.
Nope.
And sometimes people ask, are we gonna ice? Do you need it? I don't. I
What do you mean? Do I need it?
Well, I mean,
That's what I always
do
do.
you hurt? Are you swollen there? Did you just hurt it 30 seconds ago?
Right.
Like, what's going on? Like, is something? I thought we had a good session.
Right.
Oh no, it feels fine. Then no,
Yeah.
we don't need to ice.
Yeah. And kind of
There's
going
no
back to
reason
the
for it today.
augmenting kind of how they feel. You know, if they're going, hey, I want to pop 2 ibuprofen or ice, and it kind of gives me equal relief and allows me to do just the same amount of activity afterwards. And I'm like, then by all means, do the ice.
Yeah.
If it means that you're able to exercise a little bit more or get about your daily activities without chemical kind of intervention, which is what ibuprofen, NSAIDs, anything like that are, then go for the ice. Absolutely. Do that for 5-10 minutes. But it's also the conversation of how active are you going to be? Because you don't want to ice something and then try to go play a sport or do something that's very physically involved, because now you've just put your body at a disadvantage.
Exactly.
You've decreased the blood flow, you've stiffened up the joint, you've stiffened up the muscles, and then now you're going to try to go demand peak performance out of it. That's also not a great idea either. So there's definitely kind of a give and take with it.
Yeah.
So it's, again, not a simple yes or no answer when people are asking for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
When do you recommend heat instead of ice?
Honestly, if someone is being pretty pushy about ice, I will start trying to convince them to
get heat?
to do heat instead. Unless there's like an open wound there or
Right.
something like that, and there's like, that kind of situation, then maybe not. And then even at times, then like, I mean, if you're not using like moist heat or something like that, you're probably okay warming it up still. But that's just the way I think about it, is we might as well warm this area up. You're saying it feels stiff. You're saying the muscle feels like the muscle feels stiff,
Right.
sore, like achy. It's probably going to benefit from heating it up a little bit more,
Right.
increasing some blood flow to that area. And then if it feels tight, you'll probably feel a lot better after that too. And so I lean more towards heat. The time where I'm kind of about heat is I've been in settings where people like to use heat as like the warm up.
Right.
Like, let's get you on heat for 10 minutes and then we'll do your exercises.
Now
Me,
we're gonna
I'm
do a
like,
plyometric exercise.
let's go get you warmed up and move your body a little
Absolutely.
bit. Unless you are not capable of moving very well, just you are in too much pain to move right now. If not, then we're not starting you on heat. Like, let's do like get on the treadmill. Let's get on the bike. Let's do let's start doing
Functional
some band
warm-up.
work.
Yep.
Let's get you warmed up a little bit better, and then at the end, if it's like, oh yeah, it's starting to tighten up a little bit, something like that, can we ice? No. We're not icing that.
Nope.
That doesn't
Absolutely
make
not.
any sense to ice that.
Yeah,
No,
you're just telling me
we're
it's
gonna
starting to
heat it
tighten
up.
up. Yeah.
Let's just heat it up, and you'll appreciate that a lot more.
Yep.
So that's generally how I tackle it. But I'm at the point now where someone has to really ask me, like, can we ice it? Like,
To
I
actually do
really
it.
want to
Yeah.
ice it for me to go, okay. Most of the time I'm a little bit more, do you really need to ice
There's
that?
other better things to do.
I think there's other things we can do right now. But it's difficult when you still got orthos or docs, and not all of them, but
Right.
you still have people saying, yeah, go home, do the ice bath, or sorry, do the ice machine,
Right.
20 minutes on, 20 minutes off. That's your best friend. You got to do it all day,
See me in 2
for a
weeks.
few weeks.
Yep.
And it's just like, no. Don't do that all day for a few weeks. That's
that
the
also
opposite
promotes
of what you want to
inactivity.
do.
Right. Right.
Like, you want to move. It doesn't mean that ice is the bad guy, I guess, but
Right.
there's a time and a place, like you said, when, okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
We almost never do heat anymore either. We're in Vegas. If you want to heat up, go stand outside for 10 minutes, 120
Yeah.
outside.
You'll warm up. You'll warm up
Or
pretty
we have a
quick.
couple patients that really love heat, and they'll just put the heater on in their cars.
Yeah.
Let me put the seat heater on, and I'll come in warmed up and ready to go, and then we can dive into something. So,
Yeah.
And in typical clinics, they can still bill. Whether they get paid or not is a different story for it. But
Yeah.
I'm like, all you're doing is spending 15 minutes for them to charge you $8, $10, $20
And it's like,
to sit on a hot pack. Do it at home. Stand
No,
outside. Like,
yeah.
I kid you not. I've told some of my athletes, go stand outside for 10 minutes. It's 120. You'll be warm.
it'll
Come back
warm
in
up.
when you're ready.
You'll warm up. Yeah. You'll warm
Or
up.
let's go do something functional. Let's do a
Exactly.
dynamic warm up. Let's do, like you were talking about, treadmill, elliptical trainer, rower, something a little bit more functional to actually get blood flow going and get things moving.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where when I go into a clinic and I'm still seeing, okay, we're going to ice this person up. Well, my favorite is this person really likes to start on ice. So we do ice in the beginning and then we do, and I'm just sitting here looking at this like, how did we get to this? Like, how did you even get to the point where someone is coming in, they're going to do ice first.
First, right?
First thing.
And
Like-
just the whole modality, I call it the modality sandwich, right? You start seeing this a lot in normal clinics. PTs are overrun, so what do? Okay, 10 minutes on the heat or ice in certain instances. Okay, now you're going to do the bike. Now I'm going to spend 5 or 10 minutes with you. Now you're going to do 10 minutes of exercise. Oh, we ran out of time. 5 or 10 minutes on the ice or heat or stim again.
Yeah.
Like, wait, out of that hour time, functionally, we moved you 5, 10, 15 minutes tops.
Yeah.
And I had my hands on you maybe 5 minutes, you know? That's not a treatment session. We're not actually, we talked about it the last
Yeah.
podcast. There's much more that goes into driving change in our bodies. 5 or 10 minutes out of an hour time frame, and we're still going to bill you for the whole hour, is ridiculous.
It doesn't
It's
make any
ridiculous.
sense.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
similar like what you were saying, if I'll have the conversation with people like, this is why I don't recommend that you're doing ice at these times. This is when you probably want to incorporate heat.
Yeah.
But all these things are so passive. Like, you don't need me to do that.
Nope. That's
You
not where
don't-
our skill lies.
You don't need
Yeah.
me to put an ice pack on your knee. You don't need me to put a heat pad on for you to lay down on. Like,
Right.
you can do that at home.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But when I'm here for an hour with you, or when you come to me for
Right.
an hour or so, like, let's do the stuff that is gonna really like maximize this session.
Yeah.
Not 20 minutes worth of you laying down
Mm-hmm.
on something, and then I come over, like you said, 5 minutes, do something, and then I'm off to the next person, and then you got 5 minutes of treatment when
Right.
your insurance was billed an hour.
Yep. And we still have clients that'll ask for, ice, heat, or some other kind of modality. And a lot of times we'll just tell them, hey, come in 10, 15 minutes early before your session. Then get it out of the way, right? Like, if that helps you be able to move for the next hour with me, go ahead, come in. We have some space, sit down, get that taken care of.
Yeah.
You don't need my eyes on it. You don't need my attention on it. We have other staff that can get that stuff going.
Yeah.
And that also then dives into this whole other world of ice baths, infrared saunas, red light beds, pulsed electromagnetic frequency mats, like all of this almost ancillary ice and heat, right? Like all of them kind of do similar-ish things
Yeah.
with different mechanisms. So that's a whole nother kind of dive
Yeah.
into kind of other modalities and other healing tools, essentially,
Yeah.
we can dive into. But ice, again, acute injury, minimally, absolutely, and then get it moving as quickly as you can. Again,
Yeah.
traumatic injury needs further, ice and get them to the proper kind of next level of care.
Yeah.
But yeah, not icing everyone after their sessions and before their sessions,
No.
or even heating them before or after
Oh,
their
man.
sessions.
And when I was doing PT for my knee, like back when I tore my ACL and MCL and stuff, I used to love doing the ice at the end.
Yeah.
I loved it. Just
was-
like, man, this feels
Yeah.
amazing right now. But then also I start to like kind of look at that plan of care and how it was designed and how like certain things took a little bit longer for me to get to, and certain like I guess deficits that I had
Yeah.
that I was hiding just because I trained often and I was like fairly athletic. So now looking back at it, I'm just like, I don't think I would ever
Right.
do like,
It's almost more psychological. Like,
yeah,
hey,
like,
we're sending you off feeling great. So it's a great psychological benefit. You walked out of here, oh yeah, I feel so much better. It's warm, it's loose, or it's iced. I don't have any pain in that shoulder again. Same like tacking on the electrical stimulation, stuff like that. It's all that psychological. I feel good. Come back again, pay me again 2 days from now. We're gonna do the exact same thing again.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, you're gonna do it the third time.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that for 4 straight weeks.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? What?
Yeah. It's wild how that can happen. But I mean, you give someone something that in their eyes adds a little bit of value because they've gotten their little bit of relief.
Yeah, they feel good. They feel good
But
after it. That's what they
the
came for.
long
pain
term,
relief.
like there's,
Yep.
it doesn't benefit in the long term, and that's kind of I think the hard thing with folks is breaking through that barrier because they're like, well, this isn't my first injury. I iced my other one and I'm fine.
They
You
might
know,
still even have the devices from
I
before.
used to
I have
do
it from my last
this
surgery.
one and I did fine. I did heat last time I came in and it helped.
Yep.
Just like, okay, well,
Now we're stuck doing
in
it
those
forever.
situations, I'm like, hear me out.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you a little bit of this, but also like, let's try a little bit of this stuff over here. Because I think that you'll like it. I guarantee you. And then you won't have to keep coming back to physical therapy.
Yep.
And they're just like, oh, well, this is how I normally. I'm like, and this is your 5th, 6th time
We
going to
haven't changed
going
anything.
going to rehab, going to PT. You've been several different places, and you always do this. Like, let's try something different and see if it works.
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different result.
Yeah,
That's
I'm like,
insanity.
No,
it's
don't
insanity.
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it again.
But again, it goes back to human psychology. Creatures of habit. They felt good last time. It's got to feel good this time. This is what I want again and again and again. And it's hard to break that cycle because there's no one else educating them on it, right? Everyone else around town is kind of saying the same things. Keep icing, keep icing. It's only now that we're starting to get kind of this flood of everyone backing away from it. Hey, it's not really that beneficial anymore. So hopefully another couple years and it'll be mainstream of, hey, we don't need to be, not every clinic needs a giant ice machine or ice packs in the freezer next to, your your microwavable lunch, that's not that shouldn't be the standard anymore.
Yeah. And it's good because I have more folks asking me like, should I be icing?
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, so you've been looking.
You're ready. You're primed for this conversation.
Yeah, you've been like looking around and you're not sure why things are conflicting or why why you're seeing don't ice. You're so used to seeing ice.
Right.
So that's been good. I mean, I do notice a lot more people are asking, whereas before it wasn't even asking about it. It was like, we're going to do this, right? Like, why wouldn't you do this? Well, why wouldn't you do this?
Yeah.
My doc told me that we needed to do this. And then she's just like, oh, it's because it's going to make things take longer and we can do other things.
Yeah. It's almost a whole nother topic as well, but social media. Knowledge is spread a little bit. Knowledge and misinformation are spread a lot quicker now.
Yeah.
So having these conversations again and being that point of contact for people that they can trust. Hey, I'm bringing these questions to you because I trust your opinion. It's important for us to have these conversations with as many people as we can so that they're not relying on a 10-second reel on Instagram to get their medical information from.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. So as long as they're coming to us with questions, and it's almost kind of why we wanted to start having podcasts and kind of online content, was to say, hey, look, everyone's asking these questions all over the web. Why not us also participate in some of we're not coming up with new questions. We're not coming up with new answers. It's just now our community can ask us these questions and we can reach them with some of this information as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I think that's it for
Ice
ice.
and heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick intro. Thanks for sticking with us again. A little bit shorter than that first one, but we'll keep coming back to you again. Don't know how often, don't know how frequently we'll do it. Don't know how long they'll be. Don't know what the topics will be, but we'll be back.